But I very rarely ever get offended because of religion, or politics, or the color of my own skin, or even when somebody makes fun of me as a person. I don't really care. Fascinating watching this country descend further into madness. It's about provoking us to civil war. They want us killing each other in the streets, and tonight a lot of people are gonna fucking do it. And all it cost was, half of the human species losing their right to bodily autonomy. I genuinely don't know what the fuck these monsters are doing. They've decided that women can't do what they want to with their bodies. They don't like it when women do what they want to with their bodies.
We will make sure that when a kid is in the womb, they're as safe as they are in a classroom.
Hey Martha, hand me my laptop. I need to check that Amazon to see if they make a bulletproof wrap for your pregnant ass belly.
Boogie, you're a creep. I mean, that's your opinion. Not very many people share it, but I'm glad you have that opinion.
It's been quite a month for our boy, with Roe vs. Wade being overturned during Pride Month, a new boxing opponent being listed, becoming a fitness guru, and also getting a new girlfriend. Apparently. Following on from my last video though, Boogie did actually address the reason for him boxing Ethan Ralph. He of course picked the wrong reason.
Obviously, as I mentioned, he's the reason the entire Frank Hassel situation happened to begin with. He's the reason I'm a felon, because I was put in that situation to begin with and didn't know what the hell to do. Ethan is the person that put us on a podcast together, that encouraged Frank Hassel. I put that entirely on Ethan's shoulders, period. But did you ever hear the rumor that my wife cheated on me? That was Ethan Ralph. Did you ever hear that my ex-wife got blacked and I was a cuck? That was Ethan Ralph. That all started with him.
Yeah, I don't really think I need to explain to you guys how nonsense all of that is. He went on to blame him for a whole bunch more stuff as well later on, like the rumor about him being cucked and being blacked and stuff like that. Somehow that's Ralph's fault now. Following this, of course, there's more ranting online about Frank Hassel and how people don't know the real Frank Hassel and how a huge bombshell was about to be dropped. Then, of course, when people asked him to clarify what he meant, he said he couldn't for legal reasons, and yeah, I'm assuming this is just more nonsense from Boogie. So yeah, instead of going for like the easy bet of what would probably please his audience by saying he was standing up to the alt-right and getting the evil neo-Nazi Ralph, instead he decides to make this about Frank Hassel just like he did with the Sam Hyde fight, and also now blame Ralph somehow for every mean thing he's ever had done to him, even though like a month ago he was blaming the Sam and Tulky Reddit for that instead. And despite him claiming that Ralph caused him to be a felon now by encouraging Frank Hassel, having them on a podcast together and laughing at Frank Hassel's joke, Keemstar did the same thing. Like, I don't personally think either of them encouraged him. I think Frank does what Frank does. But Boogie seems to think it's entirely Ralph's fault and doesn't want to blame Keem at all. Mainly because Keem's willing to give him $50,000 to be in a shitty podcast. Boogie also mentioned during the video that he has a takedown video planned for Ralph. However, it's been a week and there's been no further word of it, so most people don't actually think it's going to happen. And whilst to all of us now it's really obvious that this fight isn't going to happen, at the start of the month Boogie had to pretend that it was, so his newest fitness trend was joining a swimming pool. And after not posting a single piece of evidence of him working out since the 16th of May, he decided to suddenly claim that he had joined a swimming pool and swam for 50 minutes. Now, obviously no one believed this and they have every right not to. Like, this is a man who struggled to lift a 5-pound weight like 10 times a few weeks ago, and now he's claiming to have done nearly an hour of cardio. Boogie was then bullied by the trolls who all said they didn't believe him, and it made him release a video of him sitting outside the gym. Obviously people said they still didn't believe it because he was sitting outside the gym, so he had to release one of him actually working out. Which pretty much could be summed up as about a 6-minute video of him like semi-swimming, semi-walking, and then he claimed that he'd actually been in there for like 30 minutes. And I'm not one to shit on someone for actually improving themselves, like, you know, you do you, Boogie. Like, if you're gonna finally do it after the million other, like, failed attempts, fine, work away. Problem is, he always contradicted himself. On the 2nd and 3rd, he claimed he went 2 days in a row. Then he claimed that he went every 2nd day. Then on the 5th and 6th, he claimed those were the first 2 days of him going in a row. Like, often he would claim he was going for upwards of 70 minutes at a time swimming. Like, swimming is difficult. It might not be as difficult as walking or jogging for someone like Boogie's size, but it's such a blatant lie and that's why people don't believe him. Like, in his video titled, My Biggest Regrets Day in My Life, he outlines what an average day looks like to him now. You know, which includes him walking his dog around the lake for about an hour, even though he's surprised that he sees ducks. Like, I'm sure if you've been to that lake before, you would probably have seen ducks more than once. And then he goes to the gym and works out for an hour. That's 2 hours of cardio, for a man who struggles to get up out of his seat. Of course, this was also the video where Boogie decided to list his biggest regrets, and one of them was his YouTube career dying.
The other big regret that I always am going to live with is kind of tanking my YouTube career. And that one I don't talk about too much. A lot of people will see on Twitter that when I'm talking about stuff, I blame everyone but myself. But deep down inside, I mean, not even that deep, I know that I'm the one who made all of those bad decisions. I'm the one who dated that stripper girl that lied about me, for example. I'm the one who gave her that ability, that power. That's a dumb thing to do.
At the start of the month, Boogie himself said he wanted to make a video like this, where he would do a personal sit-down video listing off all of his regrets, all of his issues that he's had recently. Now, the problem is, he would routinely say, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for this, but then list off all the reasons of why it's not his fault. For example, he got Me Too'd by Lucy Fox. Well, in this video, he says he's taking responsibility because he dated her. That's it. He's not talking about the abuse or anything like that. His responsibility for that whole situation is just because he dated her. That's it. Even though he also claims that she's just a sugar baby, so he wasn't dating her. And then also at one point claimed she was just a stripper that he barely knew, so I don't know. He also would then accept the blame for the Frank Castle situation, but then list off that it's entirely Frank's fault, he should never have been put in that situation. And then finally he admits that he's in a bad financial situation and accepts blame for it. Problem is then he blames the crypto market, and he also really weirdly blames him being too generous. He actually comes out and says that he goes up to random fans, slips into their DMs, and just donates money to them randomly if he thinks they need it. And obviously, yeah, no fans have come forward to claim that Boogie's done this because, as I've shown in my Monetizing Tragedies videos, he doesn't even donate to charities that he promotes, so I highly doubt he's going around slipping into DMs and being like, hey, do you want $100? And yes, despite this being a video about his recent fitness system, he decides to have an ice cream after his walk. And no, guys, also this isn't his fault. He just happened to stop by McDonald's to get an ice water and wasn't able to resist. Yeah, Boogie went to McDonald's to get a water, and because of that he accidentally got an ice cream cone. Yeah, okay, I guess. And it was this month that the trolls finally got what they wanted, because in the video I'm almost out of pain, Boogie finally admitted that he had crept over 400 pounds. And yes, I do mean crept, because despite visibly ballooning massively since he first started claiming to be 396 pounds a year ago, he claims he hit 406 pounds. But don't worry guys, he's already lost 20 pounds because of his working out. Come on, this is a guy who's still eating like shit. Even though he mentions that when he breaks his diet, it's to eat a fajita or to have a 200 calorie ice cream, and his diet's meant to be 2,500 calories. Neither of these are major breaks for a man whose diet could be 3,500 calories, and he'd probably still lose weight, not even including the 2 hours of exercising he claims to do every month. If Boogie was even being slightly honest in this, in the last 6 weeks, instead of losing 20 pounds, he would have lost probably 60 to 80 pounds if he was actually working out and cutting down his diet like he said. He's just clearly not. He also decided to show off his physical fitness to us, which kind of just included him wobbling around for a few seconds on stream before suddenly jump cutting to him fully recovered and breathing normally again. Look, Boogie can't even jog on spot for 10 fucking seconds without needing a jump cut to recover, but he claims he's doing laps for 70 minutes at a time after walking his dog around a massive lake for an hour. This is why no one believes you, Boogie, because this is just nonsense. To be able to take part in a boxing match, Boogie needs to be deemed as medically fit by a doctor. This resulted in him uploading a video at the end of June where he, at the start, dramatically took off his face mask and then listed 12 things that needed to be fixed about him, but saying, I'm still going to do it, I'm still going to fight Ethan Ralph. And, in my opinion, it's fake. The taking off the mask at the start to show that he's in a medical facility is just kind of cringe and just sad. He also said originally that he was going to the doctors in July, however, this is at the end of June. In my opinion, he noticed that no one really cared about his video about him fighting Ethan Ralph, hence why we haven't got the expose video, and hence why we haven't really got that many selfies in the pool, or him mentioning the gym, or really him mentioning Ralph at all after this. I think this whole thing's dead at this point. At this point, his whole fitness thing is just kind of ridiculous, and in my opinion, dead. People don't begrudge a fat man losing weight. They begrudge him repeatedly acting like a fitness guru who's addicted to exercise and claiming, oh, my one regret in life is that I didn't get addicted earlier and I didn't overcome it. Even in his Out of Pain video, he mocked commentators twice for saying that he had pretty much already done all this before. And the problem is he has. If you look at basically any video on his Boogie2988 channel or his motivational post at the start of COVID where he got viral on the treadmill, he does this all the time. And despite how he claimed that he doesn't get offended anymore and how he's doing so well in his weight loss and exercising, it didn't stop him from posting a video to rant about people saying that they don't like him shirtless. He then said things like, oh, I don't take Twitter and TikTok seriously, so I don't even bother putting a shirt on. But then also claimed that he's proud of his shirtless body because it's my war scars. And then started ranting out how people like insulted him using a Seinfeld meme. Like, really, Boogie, just pick one. You can't go with all of them. And despite the gaps between his pool selfies getting bigger and bigger, he was still able to upload his fat guy splash video, which I think is about the 7th rendition of this video, which is pretty much just trying to recapture the viral nature of the first, but instead acts like a measuring stick for the death of his channel. The original has 48 million views. The third one has 3.7 million views. The one last year has 125,000, and the one this year has 50k. And of course, instead of posting his pool selfies, streaming, or talking about his amazing exercise regime and being a fitness guru, he instead decided to show his political side on Twitter and on YouTube and on TikTok, either talking about Pride Month or talking about Roe versus Wade. And look, there is very little interesting to say about his takes on these topics, so I won't bore you with them, but I'm just going to hammer through some highlights here. Roe vs. Wade being overturned caused a massive chimp out with Boogie, causing dozens of tweets, arguments with everyone online, misrepresenting everyone's arguments against him, and then claiming that babies are actually not human and are just parasites, which got him a lot of shit, so instead he decided to post up the dictionary definition of parasite, which then accidentally proved him wrong. He also made a fence-sitter video about it, and like I said many times, he isn't a fence-sitter. He would make statements such as that the right have taken away the ability for women to consent to being pregnant, claiming you can only claim to be pro-life if you decide to give full free healthcare, free dental health, free daycare, free education, and a living wage to all. He claimed that half of the entire human species just lost their right to bodily autonomy and called the Supreme Court monsters. Like, look, those are very standard leftist responses. So here are some of the funnier takes. He told pro-lifers that they shouldn't have children anymore and instead should only adopt the children of women who want abortions, and then also financially support the other children of other women who want abortions. He also claimed that if a woman is arrested by her home state for going to a different state to get an abortion where it is legal, it would basically be the same thing as Arkansas arresting him for shooting a gun in the air. And yes, somehow he made Roe vs. Wade being overturned about him.
And some states, including Arkansas, is looking to pass laws that make it illegal for you to travel out of the state to get an abortion. When you come back, they'll do to you what they did to me, which is prosecute you unfairly and try to ruin your life. But hey, you know what? That's Arkansas for you.
He also made this hilarious TikTok video where it was just for fat guys, and honestly, I can't do it justice. I'll just play a wee bit of it here myself.
This Roe versus Wade shit, it involves you too. They've decided that women can't do what they want to with their bodies. They don't like it when women do what they want to with their bodies. It's not a far cry from them not liking what we've done with our bodies. And if you pay any attention to conservatives, a lot of them hate fatties too.
He goes on to talk about how, like, being a fat guy in America is the same thing as being a woman because Republicans are going to take away your right to health care. Like I said, I don't know how he made Roe versus Wade about him twice. And then on to Pride Month. Back in May, he had previously mentioned that he'd be donating money from his cameo to LGBT charities. However, this was never brought up again after the initial announcement, so I just guess it's not happening. He also stated that he no longer wished to make jokes about the LGBT community, claiming that he just didn't feel comfortable doing it, but still feels comfortable insulting everyone else, which then included him also saying retard several times later on in the month. Also in this month, it included him deciding to post up about the pride flag, insulting it and saying he had only done it to try and bait and trigger people, then later changed his mind and claimed that it was just a sarcastic, funny post, and he's only doing it to upset bigots apparently, to teach them to be empathetic. I have no idea. He then made a video, WTF is Pride Month, and during this he claimed that he's too old to understand the LGBT community, but how he has 3 close friends who are all trans, and still apparently doesn't understand what being trans is. How he's a straight man and has paid his dues to the Human Rights Campaign, but weirdly in this video he never mentions that apparently he owns 2 gaming stores that he was pretending to be LGBT safe spaces. In this video, Boogie also claims that he's straight when he's trying to talk about how he doesn't understand the LGBT community, even though on the PK podcast he previously said that he was bisexual. He also makes up some weird story where back when he was 8, which was like 1982, he says he met a gay 7-year-old boy who was like his brother's friend, And everyone knew he was gay, and everyone totally accepted it, and how he's living an amazing life now, even though this is his brother's friend, and it's 40 years later, apparently Boogie's still keeping up to date with this random guy, I guess. He also makes up a story where there's a gay guy in his high school who was pretending they're straight, but everyone knew he was gay and thought it was amazing and totally accepted it, and no one even brought it up or tried to insult him for it or anything like that. Weirdly, he also left out mentioning his best friend who he claimed that he kissed and jerked off during high school, or also the trans friend he said he got beaten up defending during high school. Look, Boogie claims that he lived in a shithole area in a shithole town, but apparently there was no homophobes in backwater USA in the 1980s, even though he was considered a freak for playing video games. And then, because he couldn't help himself, he decided to weigh in on children going to drag strip shows, which of course he fully supports, because somehow he compares a fucking strip show to seeing a cheerleader at a football game. He also then randomly holds himself up as being a prime example about how this doesn't affect children at all. He says his parents used to take him as a child to burlesque shows where he would help women take off their garter belts when they were just in their lingerie in front of him, and then would randomly say how his parents let him watch porn from 13. Which, if you know anything about Boogie, doesn't make sense because he claims that his parents hated porn and his mom thought porn was disgusting, but apparently she let him watch it from being a child. I don't know, every time he talks he contradicts himself. Boogie is a man who said he's scared of having his own children in case he abuses them. Boogie is also the guy who can't avoid doing daddy's little girl roleplay shit with random emotionally underdeveloped teenage e-thoughts from OnlyFans on his fucking Twitter account. This guy is not a prime example about how sex at a young age doesn't fuck people up. And of course, OnlyFans, which he pretended on the 2nd of this month to have signed up to for the first time for fucking research purposes, even though in 2021 he talked about how he had used it before, and also talked about his excitement that some random fucking female celebrity had just turned 18 and opened one. His whole creepy sexual nature has spilled into every part of him online. Such as him randomly dedicating a part of his video where everyone else is offended all the time except me online. Where he randomly rants about a guy who posted an angry Instagram message at him. Boogie also outlines in the video what he had said to upset this guy, saying that he just thinks women should be allowed to do OnlyFans if they want, and this random guy posted up blaming him for people like Biden. Problem is, that's not what Boogie said. What Boogie claimed is,
somewhere in this world there was an extremely conservative Christian father who actively tries to suppress his daughter's sexuality, and now she makes 10 times what he does, selling pictures of her butthole on OnlyFans. This pleases me greatly.
Now, it could just be me, but that doesn't really sound like I think girls should be allowed OnlyFans if they want. Instead, it sounds more like he's upset about conservative Christians basically blocking his supply of teenage girl porn. Such as his new e-thought, who some people began to immediately speculate was a new girlfriend, and well, sorry, I mean sugar baby, but I don't think she is. She's a creepy bipolar disorder girl who seems to bounce from one Twitter daddy to the next trying to promote her OnlyFans, which hilariously started off with Boogie's friend kid behind the camera, who, despite having a wife and kids, was liking her naked pictures on Twitter until his wife seemed to notice and then that suddenly died, before she moved on to some random other people before eventually settling on Boogie. And yeah, this talking was on Kiwi Farms, and as Boogie is an active reader of his own thread, he saw this and suddenly announced that he had a date, claiming he was going to a restaurant with a girl. Instead, he then decided that this girl, on their first date, let him collect her from her house, drive her back to his house immediately, where they ate takeout sushi, and then she fucked him, and then he drove her home again. And, of course, due to him live tweeting every fucking nanosecond of his life, the date was estimated to be only about 4 to 5 hours at most. And this is a near 50-year-old guy pretending for a first date. Him and a girl sat in his house eating discount sushi from a fucking supermarket, and then she had sex with him before she immediately left. Look, at this point it was just so embarrassing no one talked more about it, because either it didn't happen or was a prostitute, so everyone just ignored it, and I think even Boogie forgot about it too because no one talked about it again. Like I said, every part of Boogie's online community has been infected by his weird sexual nature, such as his live stream on the 9th of June where he randomly begged for donations, saying if people donated, he would talk about his kink. This being after a commentator called him a creep, which caused him to get really upset and claimed how no one else agreed with him. And then when he did finally get a donation, he then discussed his fetishes to prove how not creepy he was. Where he started by repeatedly saying, and I do fucking mean repeatedly, how much he likes legal aged girls. And how he doesn't think it's weird saying how much he likes young, legal aged girls. I've never heard someone talk about their type of girl, and their type being young but legally aged girls as an actual description. It's not like, oh, I like book smart girls, oh, I like tomboys. It's just like, I like legal aged girls. That's fucking creepy. He then went into his other fetishes, like, I like giving girls orgasms. Oh, and lingerie. Oh, and sometimes maybe anal. He then repeatedly kept asking the audience to confirm to him that he isn't creepy and that this is normal, and kept going, yeah, thought so. It came across as actually even more creepy and weird in itself that he dedicated a part of his stream to trying to disprove being a fucking pervert by openly talking about his fetishes that basically are all the most vanilla things in the world. And of course this doesn't make any sense compared to previous times where he's talked about girls cutting him with knives, him being fed near to death, girls playing with his zits, etc. During June, Boogie pretty much did what every other commenter did and weighed in on the Ackman situation because, he's never one to let a bandwagon pass him by. He started his attempted journalistic investigation by kicking off a livestream on Twitch where he opened up by telling Quantum he's only reporting and not to come after him, before then talking for approximately 10 minutes on it, which mainly included him reading Ackman's tweets and then summing it up as Quantum's a piece of shit and should come at him. During the whole Ackman situation, dozens of the largest content creators who got millions of views in their videos came out, all of them saying that YouTube was wrong and demonetizing Ackman for a joke, whilst Quantum wasn't punished for actively doxing Ackman on his channel, faking DMCAs, and even calling Ackman's mom. Every creator came out to support Ackman. Except Boogie. Kinda. Quite a lot of the stream is dedicated to Boogie ranting about people bullying him and talking about him. Look, in Boogie's mind, this shitty little video of mine where I'm just discussing him is pretty much bullying him and harassing him, despite me having like 300 fucking subs. But to Boogie, that doesn't matter. Everyone's bullying him and being mean to him. So, despite all the other creators being totally opposed to what YouTube did to Ackman, Boogie's both condemning it and also saying how he's been complaining about troll accounts for years and how this should be the first step in taking down channels like that. Eventually he did go back to Ackman though, where pretty much he sat there and asked his audience to tell him what had happened, before eventually just sitting down and watching Philip DeFranco's video and interview with Ackman, whilst repeatedly rubbing a cucumber in their faces and giggling to himself. He also did this. A lot.
I like a cucumber too. Oh, we're so bad now.
Which is kind of weird, when he then decided to do a YouTube video where he claimed that he had just no idea. Why, guys, I don't understand. Why would anyone consider a cucumber to be sexual?
For sexual content and nudity, when there was none of that in the video, other than a stupid pickle joke. In fact, here's the offending pickle in question, and because it was near Quantum TV's mouth, that's sexual in nature. I don't know, I eat pickles all the time.
The remainder of the video is Boogie just crying about people harassing him and how he hopes YouTube will take down their channels, but he does in such a weird way because he keeps going like, oh, but I don't care about me, I don't mind about me, I don't mind at all, I don't mind if people insult me. It's people insulting people like DSP and Wings of Redemption and other creators. That's what I don't like, because he's a martyr who's sacrificing himself even though his live stream was constantly complaining about people being mean to him. He also talks about how his livelihood's now at risk because Quantum is now coming after him, and how YouTube might also come after him for criticizing him, even though, nothing else has happened to any other creator. The whole thing's just embarrassing. He claims he doesn't understand why people would insult each other, and how you should just be nice to each other, and how he hopes all their accounts get taken down. But this is the same video where he calls Quantum an asshole, and he's the same guy who's called Ethan Ralph an asshole and made a dozen videos on Ethan Klein and H3H3 because they started ignoring him and he's crying about it. There is something that was kind of interesting to me that a lot of people didn't talk about because, like, in this whole story, everyone just wants to hate Quantum. So whatever Boogie said, people just kind of accepted. But Boogie, for no apparent reason, drew attention to the fact that Quantum had quickly commented on his video, which I think is hilarious because he kind of insulted Quantum for that. But Boogie, on his own live stream, accidentally showed that his #1 top save search is his own name. So, like, he can't criticize Quantum for searching his own name when Boogie does that all the fucking time. But the thing is, Boogie really drew attention to this. Like, he even screenshot the fact that he had pinned it and then told everyone in the tweets, hey guys, just so you know, I have pinned this here. This is pinned here, guys. It is now pinned here. Over and over and over again. And then something later on was like, oh, Quantum's deleted this comment. Ha ha ha. You know, and drew attention to it and other people started reporting on it, like Review Tech USA. In my opinion, Boogie deleted that comment. Like, why else would you draw so much attention to it when he's never done anything like that before? I think Boogie was just trying to start shit with Quantum to try and get some attention in this whole thing because he saw how much attention Actman got. But, you know, that's just a game theory. Those were some of the main events in Boogie's June, but he did have some other whopper moments, so it's time for a speed run. Upsetting his lefty followers by claiming that if a documentary was made about him, they'd make it a black woman to be woke. Releasing a gaming video finally as part of a brand new series, which he immediately dropped because no one watched it since he's lost his entire video gaming audience. Making a video about the Amber Heard court case coming to an end, where he pretty much made it all about himself as a survivor of false allegations himself, and he claimed that he hadn't talked about it before because it was too real to him. Despite his dozens of tweets last month and also this being his second video on it. Pretending to have trolled a salesperson who phoned him to ask him to sell his house, with a hilariously fake phone call where it was a minute long and the other person never spoke. The whole thing was just Boogie talking about how expensive his house worth because he repeatedly said that over and over again. He then pretended that this was just to sacrifice him to waste the cold caller's time so they couldn't pester other people. He also did an unboxing stream where he claimed he wasn't one of those streamers that begs you for money, but then proceeded to pause the hour-and-a-half long stream at least 4 different times to directly ask his fans to help him cover the cost of the cards. I've also watched plenty of streamers, and I don't know if I can name you a single one who actively pauses the stream to beg every 20 or so minutes. This also plays into his awful financial situation, where the dude spent $200 in cards and had to repeatedly beg people to help him afford them, before then complaining that he wasn't making enough from what he was pulling, and then nearly blowing the load of getting a single $20 card at one point. During that same stream, he also forced his fans to watch a bunch of his old Boogie videos, laughing at his own jokes the entire time, which is basically the most narcissistic shit I've ever seen. He barely uploaded to TikTok this month, but of course his videos were full of political spurging, stupid takes, and also videos of him creepily staring at teenage girls while shirtless. He claimed that he suddenly stopped being involved in the Magic the Gathering community for about a decade, not because he was poor and homeless as he usually claims, but instead because he went to a Magic tournament, his PTSD kicked in because someone shouted at a judge, and then suddenly there was a punch-up out of nowhere. He said he was so scared about Magic players that he immediately sold his deck worth over $1,000 to some random guy for $100 and used that to take his girlfriend out to dinner. At a strip club. Because of course. And that's the end of the speedrun, but there are still 2 things I'd like to draw attention to that aren't really major, but I find them interesting. The first of which is a random tweet on the 20th where he suddenly criticised a friend of his who was posting online about travelling and going to weird museums. Now, he randomly criticised them for how they spend their time, and he got a fair bit of pushback for it from his audience, and then claimed because it was something that they'd posted online, that allowed him to criticise it, which I really hope he remembers in the future, mainly when he's watching this video and is very upset. Now, he then got enough pushback that he eventually claimed that this was just baiting people to see how they felt about him going to a museum a month ago or something. But instead, most people think this is actually a random pot shot at a friend of his called Jacob the Carpetbagger, whose entire thing is travelling around, posting online, and going to weird little museums. It wouldn't be weird for Boogie to randomly shit on his friends if they upset him. Several times this month he insulted his old best friend McJuggernuggets, first claiming in the Retropalooza panel that he was an asshole, and then on the Actman stream saying that McJuggernuggets just wouldn't hang about with him anymore because he couldn't use him for clout. The final thing I also wanted to draw attention to is his video about Did You Drink My Mountain Dew? Boogie had watched this back in an unboxing video back on the 10th, when he was talking about how popular he used to be, and obviously that sparked something in him because he suddenly, out of nowhere on the 21st, posted a video celebrating his video, stating this.
January 11th, 2012 is an important day for YouTube history, or at least for my personal history, and hopefully for your personal history as well, because that is the day that Francis Rage's Did You Drink My Mountain Dew? That's the day that went live.
He's celebrating 10 years of this video being up, however the thing is it's been up for 11. Boogie throughout this whole video talks about this being the original video and talking about his remake in 2020 that didn't perform very well. He outlines how this was a parody of an Angry Grandpa video, but most people don't know that, and how, oh no guys, it's so unfortunate that my video is far more popular than the original, which is really an incredibly cunty thing to say. Well, this isn't the original. Boogie originally uploaded the first video on the 1st of July 2011, so I don't know why he didn't just wait 10 days until the 11th anniversary. Well, okay, I do know why. The original Boogie talks about was the one he reposted in January 2012, where he cut over a minute of footage out of the video, which is pretty much all the parts where he wasn't on screen, and took all the mentions of Angry Grandpa from the title, which he then went viral with. And the original video, it did okay, it didn't do amazing, but this is how Boogie used to run his channel. He would re-upload videos occasionally, maybe doing a slight edit or something like that, hoping eventually they would go viral. And that's why he won't talk about it anymore. He likes to think he was like a comedy genius who released loads of viral videos, but the thing is, sometimes they just didn't hit, and he had to release them 2 or 3 times before anyone noticed. So that was Boogie in June. A lot of pretend to be a fitness god, but only be able to show one actual workout, and a lot of screaming online whilst claiming he doesn't get upset or offended by things. The boxing thing is generally fallen quiet, and so has his exercise program. Well, that's a video. Have a good one.